Greetings, Kenyans. My names are Vincent Otieno, an activist, a revolutionary, a fighter. You can call me all those. And of course, a student. In life, everyone is a student because life does not stop teaching. So you cannot stop learning because life does not stop teaching. Experience the best the best teacher. Simply, it is life that teaches you, so you become a student. Now, our country, Kenya, we do conduct election after every 5 years. After every 5 years, we do conduct our election through the IEBC. So Kenya do trust the IEBC, the Independent Electoral and Boundary Commission. The name independent is being misused, actually more so in African country, especially in our beautiful country, Kenya. Independent should be an absolute authoritative body that is not being interfered. We need to have some doctrine of separation of powers. For example, judiciary is purports to be independent, legislature purports to be independent, executive also purports to be independent. You have got also what I've mentioned, the Independent Electoral and Boundary Commission. You have got the DCI, the DPP, and many other of them. Those are independent bodies in Kenya. These bodies in Kenya actually are not independent, including the EACC. That is what I wanted. Now, when you come to IEBC, this is the most manipulated area, and the judiciary. Of course, Supreme Court is the highest court. So if I mention Supreme Court, I'd say judiciary. So I'm not wrong. So the judiciary is one of the very manipulated body or arm of government in Kenya. The IEBC, the same. Of course, the DCIs who bring evidence or who arrest are also being manipulated. When you look at the DPP, the work of the DPP is to initiate and undertake criminal proceedings against the alleged person in court, except the court martial, we know that. He is also independent. The National Police Service, the police are also being manipulated. The defense forces, the discipline forces that are being manipulated in our country. This is a country, a sovereign country. And Article 1 of the Constitution, which is the primary article, actually states that all sovereign powers belongs to the people, we, and shall be exercised only in accordance with the Constitution. Our people have got their power to elect, to decide who their governors are. Our people of the Republic of Kenya have got the power to decide who their senators are, who their president is, who their MPs are, the people's representative. Now, we elect these people's representative to go and represent us in the parliament. That is what they do. We cannot all assemble and make bills. We cannot all assemble and make laws or initiate bills and vote. We cannot all do that. But we only donate our powers to MPs, member of parliament. I want to call them the people's representative in this case, because I want to state it clearly and to make Kenyans to understand. Those are people's representative. The senators are your representative. You are the people that actually pay the senators and the governors. You are the people that actually pay the president. So it is so painful. In fact, the assumption that Kenyans are so stupid, so desperate, it's actually painful. And that is where these leaders take advantage. And that is where these leaders manipulate us. And that is where we are being bamboozled by these inept braggarts. And that is where we go wrong. That is now where we do not know our rights, we don't understand our right. The thing we are supposed to do here in Kenya is to work, making sure that these bodies work independently. We cannot have a court or a judiciary that is being manipulated by the president. We cannot have a court whose verdict, a judge whose verdict is already written, is already determined by a particular group of cartels or brokers. We cannot have a country that independent bodies like IEBC are being manipulated. Look at the recent ended 2022 polls. Just look at just before election was just before the elected winner, or before the declaration of the president-elect was to be done at the Bomas. You look at Cherera-4 dissociating themselves from the results that they were partying. That tells you the kind of the rotten IEBC we have. The moment the commissioners that were vetted and declared fit by the people's representative dissociate themselves from the results of the electoral process, it tells you that there is a problem in the IEBC, actually, which the court dismissed flat out and using terms that are very incoherent, inconsistent, and abhorrent, that are not even law terms in the law. They are not even in the law dictionary. Hot air, wild goose chase, what are those? An unanimous decision that was actually predetermined, premeditated, and pre-planned by the Western imperialists who actually impose leaders on us. Kenyans, we are supposed to change. We are supposed to change the country, and changing the country is not sitting down and reading your magazine. Changing the country is not sitting where 2 or 3 people are gathering or solemnly and yap or yell and talk that way, and you end. Change means you speak up. Martin Luther used to say that demonstration is the voice of the unheard. Let us organize ourselves. We need to clean up the IEBC. IEBC must go. Chebukati must go. We need to clean out this body. We need to have people who are competent, ethical, and professional to work on this task. We do not trust the IEBC process anymore. The Supreme Court, the judiciary as a whole. When we initiate our cases in the High Court, in the Magistrate Court, when we appeal the cases, and thereafter onwards, we do not trust this court actually. You look at judges are being bribed. They have cases in court, litany of cases. The basket of deplorables. That tells us that their experiences as lawyers, as advocates 10 to 15 years, as junior judges, as superior judges, are just jibba-jabba, just haugash. That tells us that the experience they have, the teachings that they were subjected to in school, is haugash. That's what it tells us. It tells us that the people's representative did not do their work, did not do their homework very well, actually to ascertain the facts behind these people in respect to their integrity. The EACC does not do its work. We have got billionaires who have made their billions through tenderpreneuring, through cartelism, quote unquote, through money laundering, but they're just walking cost free. NYS scandal, I don't want to mention their names, but where is the case? Busia County, look at counties, poorest performing counties, of course the preceding government. For example, Busia County, the reign of Hospital Deko Jamong, Sia County, the reign of Colonel Rasanga, Homa Bay County at the reign of Cyprian Awiti, and Kisumu County during the reign of Jack Ranguma. Look at Waititu Babayao. These are people that are supposed to be followed up. Billions were looted at the time when they were the duty bearers of those particular counties. They are the CEOs. Evans Odhiambo Kidero, here in Nairobi during between 2013 to 2017, if I'm not wrong, he was the governor here. Those are people that EACC is supposed to follow up. But now we have turned the country into a state whereby you can only be followed, your integrity is based on your political alignment. For instance, if I've looted billions and I'm the friend of the current government, William Samoei Ruto, I'm safe. Look at Waititu, actually the Senate, the people's representative, and actually impeachment of Waititu Baba Yao was actually people's popular initiative. It was initiated by people on the ground. So the people actually believed that this guy whom we gave donated power to is a perennial looter, is a thief. He was forwarded. MCAs actually ascertained, reaffirmed the decision of the public. The Senate seconded the decision of the MCAs of Kiambu during the reign of the then governor, Waititu. Now, this guy was impeached by the people. I will call it, that is impeachment by the people. This guy was impeached by MCAs, County Assembly. This guy was impeached by the Senate. The High Court actually dismissed the case of Waititu flat out. Then again, he comes to the public and is being given a docket by Mr. President. Then you tell us that we have Nini freedom is here. Is that the freedom that we have? Actually, that is evidence all over. You cannot clear somebody who was impeached by the people, by the people's representative, the County Assembly, the Senate, and the court dismissed his case flat out, actually supporting the Senate. Then you clear him and give him that docket. EACC, you're not working. Independent bodies, you're not working. The court is not working. Mike Mbuvi Sonko, the same case. He was impeached by the MCAs. The Senate impeached him. The matter went to court. And right now, he is free to vie for any elective post, contrary to our constitution. Why was he cleared by the IEBC when it is illegal for such a person to vie for an elective post? EACC, wake up and do the work you're supposed to do within your jurisdiction. Be independent. The ethics, just look at the name, it's very powerful. It's about ethics and it's about corruption, against corruption, anti-corruption. So it's about ethics, it's about corruption. It's a commission. It's a commission that tries to look and figure out about the integrities of these leaders that were elected by the people. The EACC, you have got a very powerful name. You have been paid rumination by the people, the taxpayers' money. Actually check on such issues. Check on such issues. The DCIs, we thank you, you are doing your work. But do not, however, you are being manipulated by regimes. You are being used by the regimes in place and thereafter dumped. And the next regime that is actually antagonist to the previous regime start fighting you. And these things that you do come to bite you. The DCIs. You are supposed to check on that. You are supposed to work independently. You are supposed to do your work diligently. We appreciate what you do. We appreciate the crimes that you've covered. Sorry, we want to appreciate the crimes that you've worked against, the people you've arraigned for probing and investigation, the cases that you've done, of course, the preliminary and things that you've achieved. I appreciate the Directorate of Criminal Investigation Department. I give you a tick, but please continue working. Do not be manipulated by a state or a person who purports to be very powerful. You are an independent organization. Last but not least, I am coming to court. The only institution that has a power to solve cases between individuals and companies, individuals and states, it is the Court of Kenya. That the courts that we have in Kenya, right from the lowest court to the apex court in the court on the land. Actually, the widows depend on the court. justice, people who are killed, their kins depend on the court. Those to whom their lands are grabbed, they depend on court. Those who their rights are being violated depends on court. All Kenyans depend on court to survive. If courts were not there, actually the country, it could not be qualified to be a country, but a failed state like Somalia, a full-blown dictatorship country. Kenya should not go to that extent. We should not be copying that, but Somalia is a failed state, but Uganda is a full-blown dictatorship country that I don't know, but they are torturing people or that brutalizing people in other states. Kenya, we are supposed to grow. We all depend on this court, actually, on every aspect. The court is supposed to be fair. Actually, I don't know, Martha Koome, the lady Chief Justice, used to say that justice must not be on your side to call it to be just. Yes, it is true. But sometimes it is not on our side. It becomes unjust when the court cannot actually, when the court purports instead of giving the right verdict. Now, on the issue of Chebukati, Mr. Wafula Chebukati, you talk about being threatened. You talk about the plan to either assassinate you or to kill you, whichever way, whichever term you use. Mr. Chebukati, you complain about electoral rigging. They were threatening you, forcing you to declare a particular candidate whom we believe as Kenyans we elected. Mr. Chebukati, if you are an ethical person, if you are a professional person, if truly you stood for the truth, in 2017, the just former CJ Emeritus David Maraga nullified the election that you stood and declared. He nullified the declaration of the president-elect, which was declared by you, who was the chairman by then. Mr. Chebukati, was it right to you? The court actually proved that you are a criminal and you are supposed to be subjected to High Court for a criminal case. We are supposed to undertake a criminal case against you because you manipulated the results of the 2017 election. It had a lot of illegalities and irregularities according to the then CJ Emeritus David Maraga. You actually proved to the whole world, David Maraga actually proved to the whole world that you manipulated the figures and declared the wrong candidate. 2017B, during repeat of the election, what happened? The Constitution states clearly that even one constituency, constituency means one among the 290 constituencies in Kenya. In case of election, there are 291 constituencies for the case of diaspora. Now, in case of even one constituency does not take part in an election, then that is not an election. How many Kenyans did not take part in election? But you thoracically, purposely, and forcefully declared a president. It is very repugnant, ridiculous, outrageous, and absurd to do such. So you did not qualify to chairman. And in fact, your chairmanship, your conmanship was supposed to cease immediately after or forthwith after the then CJ David Maraga nullified the election. You are not qualified to conduct any other election. So the same Wafula Chebukati 2022 stood to conduct, calling himself the presidential presiding officer. I agree with that. Sorry, the presidential returning officer, the chairman of IEBC, the national returning officer, giving himself ultimate power, disregarding quorum. making other commissioners less effective, doing your wish the way you want, doing things the way you want, manipulating figures. Mr. Chebukati, actually this election, we did not trust you. 2017, A and B proved that you are actually do not have integrity. You actually was not fit to be the chairperson of the IEBC. So you telling Kenyans that you are threatened, you are exchanging cars, I don't know where were you sleeping, does not help Kenyans anymore. We do not care. Neither Ruto supporters nor Ruto's antagonists like me care about what you say. Nobody cares. The hustlers were conned. Nobody cares about you. Nobody cares whether you are killed or not. We have got fighters, people like Tom Boyers were killed. Arguing Skodek, the first and the best lawyer in Africa, was killed. The likes of Bildad Kagia, where are they? The likes of very many fighters, the likes of Saitoti, professor of pure mathematics. Where are they? Then you tell us somebody called Mr. Chebukati. Who are you? In fact, nowadays in Kenya, we misuse names. You call somebody a hero because he declared you a president. Mr. Chebukati being called a hero. We are misusing the meaning of a hero. Who is Chebukati? What legacy has Chebukati lived for this country? Chebukati should not be called a hero. Chebukati alleged assassination attempt, which I believe is just a narrative to shift the attention of the public and to attract their reaction.